and in the book, the bottom of page 19 before we flip over. Let's open it with a word of prayer. Heavenly Father, dear God, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the consciousness that you bestowed upon us. We thank you, dear God, for our peace of mind and our health and strength. And we thank you for the cross and the resurrection. We thank you that Jesus made it perfectly clear in enduring all hostility and dying on the cross for mankind's sin, that reconciliation is now possible. We thank you, dear God, that you decided this before the foundation of the world, and that it's the core of who we are and what we believe in. We thank you, dear God, for traveling grace, that you protected us the way you did to get us to this very place. We thank you for this building and all that it does for us and all that it has done for us in the years that we have been here. We thank you, dear God, for our study that we're going to have this morning. We thank you for those that will participate, those that will be here, and those that are arriving to come. We thank you that it is considered the Lord's Day, the day that we give you and glorify you in our presence, in our worship to you. We thank you for the article of worship that we will do scripturally, the things that we will say, being mindful of your grace. And we thank you, dear God, that we will hear a portion of thy word, and they may spur someone on to be part of your family in baptism. So, Father, thank you so much for opening our eyes and helping us to enjoy thus far all the many, many blessings you have in store for us today. In Jesus' name we pray these things. Amen. All right.
Morning, y'all.
Good morning, sister. How are you?
How are you? How you doing? Okay.
Okay, in Judges 16, the bottom of the page here, describe Samson's great victory over the Philistines. Describe his great victory over the Philistines, and you will find that in chapter 15, verse 16. So let's answer that question. See what you have in your book, what you wrote down. Describe Samson's great victory over the Philistines.
Killed the Philistines with a jaw.
Okay. How many? Everybody know what a jawbone of an ass look like? You ever see a donkey? What is the difference between a donkey and a colt? One is shorter? Okay.
Put them in half long, so that's the
So you take the jawbone of a donkey and you start swinging it. What do you have? You have a weapon. If anybody get in the way of that, they're going to get caught, right? So put that in a strong man's hand that can swing that very fast where this thing is making signs. And he's approaching you, he's coming at you. And you're a soldier, you got a shield, and you got a sword, and that doesn't make any difference at all. Because at the rate that this thing is spinning, and at the speed that this thing is coming at you, you're going to feel the brunt of that. And Samson was a very strong man. Who did he credit for the victory? We find that in verse 18. Who did he credit? Who did he credit? Read the verse.
Right up to the Lord.
19.
He cried out to the Lord, right? Okay, somebody read the verse out loud.
As he was very thirsty, he cried out to the Lord, you have given your servants this great victory.
Okay,
I have thirst fall into the hands of the uncircumcised.
all right. So who got the credit?
God,
Okay. His strength came from who?
God.
All right. Okay, all right. Let's go over to page 20.
Imagine maybe like Bruce Lee.
Yeah. I mean, he gave credit to God by saying, you have given your servant. So what does he do? He recognized that it was someone that he accredited his strength to. Remember, to kill 1,000 men with the jawbone of an ass, that is just not normal. Okay, that's not an everyday occurrence. Okay, so just know that. Know that Samson himself realized how strong he was and that it was extraordinary strength. And it came from somewhere, because not everybody in Judah and tribes are surrounding them. Israelites themselves had this kind of strength. So he realized where his help came from. This is a very important question here for 14. What more can be known of Samson's character from the first 3 verses of this chapter? So someone read the first 3 verses of chapter 16.
Now Samson went up to Gaza and saw a harlot there and went into her. When the Gazites were told Samson has come here, they surrounded the place and lay in wait for him all night at the gate of the city. They were quiet all night, saying in the morning. When it is daylight, we will kill him. And Samson lay low till midnight. Then he arose at midnight, took hold of the doors of the gate of the city, and the 2 gate posts, pulled them up. And the 2 gate posts pulled them up, bar and all. But then on his shoulders, and carried them to the top of the hill that faces the Hebron.
As you discussed last week, what kind of man was Samson? What was Samson's character like? What kind of man was this guy? I mean, don't look at it religiously. Okay, so that's not what I'm asking you. I'm asking you, based on the information that the Bible has given us thus far about Samson, what was Samson like? What was his character like? What kind of man was Samson? Number one, he was a woman chaser, right? Is this his second episode with a woman? What was his first episode with a woman? He wanted the wife, remember? Was he good at choosing women?
No.
Was he good at choosing the right women?
No.
No. Okay, men. I wish the room was full of teens. Men, be very careful who you look at and what you desire and what you want. As the saying goes, everything that glitters is in gold. Okay, so be mindful of that, and don't go around places and people that you don't need to be around if that's not who you are. Bad company corrupts good morals. So if you're an unmoralistic person, then okay, you go around and hang around people that are like that. But don't think for 1 minute that your goodness can get you through being around people who just don't care about anything. And, you know, generally these people have a certain kind of code that they live by and a certain lifestyle that they love to live. And Samson was a man that was blessed with a lot of strength, but it wasn't in the brain department. Samson was very weak upstairs, okay? So when God give you something in one department, if you don't start working on the other department, it looks like God didn't give you anything. So just think about that. He was strong in one department, but he was very weak in another department. So poor thing. You would think that being raised by the parents that raised him, he would have come out a certain way. But unfortunately, it wasn't like that. Was this a nice couple? Was Samson and Delilah a nice couple? Would that be the type of couple that you would say will be on People's Magazine as the best couple of the year? December 31st, we would put them on the cover of the magazine, and we would say, this is what you should aspire to be like, Samson and Delilah. No? Why not? Why not? Come on. He's strong, she's cute. What more do you want? Isn't that basically what people look for today? Someone strong and somebody cute. He's a nice guy. Nice guy. What woman wouldn't want a guy that can kill 1,000 men with a jawbone of an axe? What woman wouldn't want a man that's strong, shoulders are broad, six-pack in his stomach area, handsome? What woman wouldn't want that? Don't have to say nothing. Just show up. Just show up. What woman wouldn't want a man like that? How many men are defined that way? Women, you tell me, what do you look for in a man? What do you look for in a man when you want a man?
So, listen, I'm sorry.
Sister Stanley, I don't think you should be coming. You're going to say something about me. We go start at this road.
No. So
Yeah.
first of all,
I think you should say something loud. Don't say nothing first.
first of all,
You giving the rest of these sisters some ammunition here.
Samson had clear instructions. He was
Okay.
born for a purpose, right? So this is not just your ordinary man, right? God had plans for Samson. His purpose was to defeat the Philistines. His parents were disobedient to God as well, because although they wanted him, they did not. When they went to choose they weren't supposed to choose the woman for Samson, the one that he wanted. But he was spoiled, and he was selfish, and he was self-centered, and his parents played into that, blowing up his ego, and he just thought that he could just run around and do what he wanted to do. And I think the point here is to remember what your purpose is. We all have a purpose in life, right? And our goal is to fulfill our God-given purpose and not be like those in the world. Right? Because we have to remember that we are called to a higher standard and a greater calling. Samson forgot. You know how some people say, don't get beside yourself? Well, he did. He forgot who he was. And I think for us, the lesson really is about learning what our purpose is and fulfilling that purpose.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I'm glad she didn't go bid. Anybody else? Check it out. Sister Stanley said something that was very important. Samson had an extraordinary kind of birth, correct? Samson fell in a category with how many more men that were conceived this way? Name them. Samson is one. Remember, the angel came to Samson's mom. So give me some more. I want to tell you who they are. John was another one. Jesus is one. Do we have one more? Samson, Jesus, John,
Isaac,
and Isaac. Okay? So Donna had mentioned that Samson was 4. Sisters, if you've been praying like Hannah to conceive, and remember, in biblical times, the womb was very, very blessed when God got involved in it. A lot of women numerically couldn't have children in the Old Testament. Across the board. This had nothing to do with Israel or the Israelites. It was just that way. So when you conceived, it was very important. And Lord knows if you had a male child, that was very important, because automatically now you have a legacy. You and your husband have a legacy. So you're praying and you're praying and you're praying and you can't conceive. And then an angel shows up to you and tell you what? Guess what? God is going to work this thing out. But it's going to come with some conditions. And as a wife, you know, like Mary, as a wife and a mother, you want to know what kind of conditions those are going to be. So God doesn't hold back, correct? What did God say when the angel visited Samson's mom? Turn back and read what in the birth of Samson in chapter 13. Tell me some of the conditions that this child was going to be under. Verse 5. Okay, he couldn't drink. He couldn't drink what? Okay, so he couldn't drink wine or the fruit of the vine. So that was out. So he was a man that always going to be sober. Okay, what else could? What else would? There was some other things.
No, he couldn't eat. No razor touch his head.
Okay, haircut. Couldn't get a haircut. What else? What else? There was something else.
Not eat any unclean.
Hmm?
Do not eat any unclean thing.
Right. Either animal or human, he could be around what? What does the scripture say? He couldn't touch anything dead, right? And what was the major thing about this child that this child had to do? He had to take a what? He had to take a vow. A Nazareth vow. What is a Nazareth vow?
Just
Don't do those things. Okay, now before the child was even born, these are the restrictions that this kid was going to be under. So mom and dad had a large responsibility to make sure this happened, correct? Okay, Samson is born, Samson is weaned, Samson started growing up. Mom and dad is constantly telling Samson, you are under restrictions. Don't think for 1 minute at 9 years old, this boy's hair wasn't sitting on his shoulders. All the other kids are saying, Samson, why is your hair so long? Samson, I don't know. I just can't get a haircut. Samson get 13 years old. At 12 years old, he can go into the temple and start doing some things. His hair is long. You think his hair was a blessing to him? As a male child, he couldn't cut his hair. So now he has to explain the Nazareth vow. So those who were under religious direction understood that. What about the kids that weren't? You see what I'm saying? So we're looking at how he got arrogant. Okay, mom and dad start cutting him some slack. Because mom and dad start noticing that this child is extraordinary. There are some things that he is able to do. Now, the angel didn't tell his mom. This kid will be able to pick up 19 cedars that was laying in a pile. Mom started noticing some things about her son that was outside what the angel said in every way. Now, mom and dad had to find a way to harness that. Those of you who have talented children know what I'm talking about. Those of you who have autistic children know what I'm talking about. You have to spend what? With kids like that, you have to spend what? More time with them. And you have to say a whole lot of things. You got to find out things that kind of like channel that energy level that they have, right? They are extraordinary kids. They are much different than the average kid. I was a very energetic kid. There were some things that my mom had to do for me that she didn't have to do for my brother. She had to keep an eye on me. You know what I'm saying? Every time I got up, my mom radared me. I think she had something on me in the back of my ear, clipped inside my earlobe or something, but she always knew where I was. Okay? He was an extraordinary kid. Growing up, he had to be taught a different way. Anybody see the Superman movie with Kevin Costner in it? as Superman's father? Anybody see the Superman movie? As Superman was growing up, there were things that he started noticing about himself. He started noticing that he was stronger than any other kid. On top of that, his dad, his earthly dad, had to teach him how to harness his strength. Because if his mind and his strength didn't match, he was going to hurt somebody. The kid that pushed him down outside his father's garage, he fell down, grabbed the fence. The kid was bullying him and teasing him and trying to egg him on to get up and fight. He was holding on to the pole. So when the other kid looked around and seen his father and said, "This is Dad," and all the kids walked away and he started laughing, when they showed us the scene on Superman holding on to the pole was bent. What if he would have hit that kid? The kid would have been in the next county. So his father knew that he was extraordinary. He was different. So his father and mother had to spend a lot of time with him. Samson, mom and dad let up on him. There's an incident where Samson came and said, "I want this woman." And his father and mother thought that that was something that the Lord had said. How could that be something that the Lord has said when the Lord had gave you instruction? You think God is going to tell you every single day what to do when he already done told you once? That sounds like an earthly parent. That is not a spiritual parent. God doesn't talk things to you and I every single day when we get ready to do wrong. God said, okay, fine. My word is my word. That's just the way it is. If that's what you want to do and you want to live that kind of life, fine. I'm going to be there for you, but you're not going to like the bumps that you're going to have in the road. I'm trying to show you a more excellent way. Some of us need to be talked to all the time. That's why this right here is a daily guide. If you don't pick it up, you're going to live an earthly type of lifestyle. And in not including God in your morning to help you with your day, there are going to be levels of frustration that you're going to try to handle on your own that is not going to come with a guide. There's a spiritual guide in here every day for depression, for anxiety, for decision making. That's why it's written and it's complete. If you pick it up, you read a passage, you do a devo in the morning, you contact God and speak to him, and just have a 5-minute prayer with God. I ask you to do that all the time. Hey, Lord, thank you. Thanks a lot for waking me up. I know this is something that you want me to do today. You want me to assist you in doing some things. Work on me right now. Now, let me get my energy level up. Let me get my spiritual glasses on so I can see what you see. And that'll help you connect to what God wants you to do. But if that's not instilled in you, if as a parent, I don't instill these kinds of things in my children will wake up and do what they want to do. You're going to wake up and do what you want to do. Parenting is the key part to the intersection that God uses to get to the offspring. And you and I can never let up. Like we discussed on Wednesday night. Joe prayed for those kids every single day. Whether your children are good or your children are bad or your children are energetic, your children are mischief, your children are accomplished, you pray for them every single day. Every single day. And then you pray for yourself. You pray for yourself. This was an extraordinary young man. And this young man needed some direction. If Ellis would have came to me and said with the first one, "Dad, I want this woman," he would have been getting up off the ground. Because I would have said to my son, well, it would have never got to that point. Ellis would have never came to me saying, "I want this woman." You know why? Because I would have been telling him what he couldn't have every single day when I start seeing how he started looking. See, as a man, as a husband, as a father, I would identify where my son was. See, most of us leave our children when they become teenagers. You look at your children when they become teenagers and you think right back to when you were 14, when you were 16. Remember those days? Remember when you weren't the same? We don't want to say amen to that. We don't want to admit to that. But we did a lot of crazy things when we were teenagers, right? You know, I'm only hearing a couple of things up this way. We did a lot of things. A lot of things. And Lord knows, when we got our first job and got money in our pocket, we did some crazy things. There are a lot of things that our parents to this day don't know what we did, but we were doing them, right? So, if you have children, you and your wife already know what your kid's getting ready to do based on what you did. That's why God put you before them as a parent. So I don't have to look at my son and look at my daughter and see what they're doing or what they want to do. I just know what I did. And it comes with instructions. Guess what? I don't think it's a good idea. So our parents have to say, I don't think it's a good idea. They're going to say, why? Because when I did something like that, this is the consequences of that. When I let my car run under a quarter tank of gas, I ran out of gas. I ran out of gas all the time because I was just too silly to keep gas in the car. So I kept a can. At least I was that smart. And my friend ran out of gas, then he called me. I said, where are you? He said, I'm on the Merritt Parkway. I said, what's wrong? He said, I'm out of gas. I said, what do you think I am? I am a rolling around Shell gas station? He said, yeah, you keep a can in your car all the time. But that's my gas. So I go out, put gas in his car, take his $2, and put gas back in my can. You see the point that I'm trying to make? If you don't tell them what you need to tell them, the world is going to tell them, then they're going to do it the way the world say do. And then what? It's distorted. So anything you and I got to do is tell them the truth. I did it that way, and this would happen. I stayed too long in that party, and this would happen. I took my first drink, and this would happen. I remember when cocaine, heroin, and all that stuff was in my community. Some of my friends got caught up in that and OD. This is what happens. Ain't nothing wrong with that. You're telling them the truth. Your children, my children, your friends' kids have a wealth of information that can be given to them if it's given to them right. Now, will that stop them from doing what they want to do? Probably not. But you know what? They heard the truth first and they heard it from you. That's all that counts. Because when they wake up, the prodigal son came back to where? What did the prodigal son came back to?
Same house he left.
Same house he left. Why do you think? You don't think he could have cleaned himself up out there with them pigs and then go to somebody else's house? Why do you think he came back to where he started from? Because he was tired. He had spent all the money that he had. He had did everything that he wanted to do. Solomon did that. By the time Solomon wrote those books, well after 40 years, he said, everything that I desired in my heart, I obtained for myself. When that kid got broke, what happens when you get broke? What happens when you get broke when you're not used to being broke? If you're used to being broke, then being broke is being broke. But if you're used to having money and you get broke, you have no financial resources, what happens to you mentally?
Your mind changes.
Thank you. Your mind changes. Now, we know his mind changes because where was he at? Was he in a good bed?
No.
Where was he at? He was hanging out with what? The pigs. Don't be afraid to say that. It's all right. He was in slop. The boy had lost his mind. Ellis, how do you come up with these things, man? It doesn't take a genius reading the Bible to realize that a prodigal son that had a ring on his finger, that was next in line for his father's wealth, had servants doing what he told them to do. He rushes off, go to the city, live a nice life until his money runs out, and then he loses his mind. He go out there with the pigs, hanging out with the pigs. He come to his senses because the pigs probably told him, yo, man, you don't belong here. This is our slot. We don't want you here. He get up, he go back where? To his dad's house. And the father is doing what? Parents, what do we do when our kids come back home and they're in a mess? Open arms. Some of us say what? I told you so. I tried to warn you. But we do what? Opens arms. right here. That's where God is. He opened his arms. Now, there were consequences to him leaving, correct? And what were the consequences at the boy's house when he got back? Who was next in line? Who took over the status? His brother did. His brother has some issues too, because there were some issues parenting both of them. But he lost his status. What did Esau do with his birthright? He sold it. When he came to his senses and crying, even though he was remorseful with tears, what happened? Did the situation change? Did it correct him giving up his birthright? No. Life comes, and choices that we make in life comes with consequences. Samson didn't learn anything from parents who should have been teaching him things. Therefore, he ended up with bad women. And bad women only got one thing on their mind. What is that? Women. Men don't have to answer this question. Bad women got one thing on their mind. Let me help you out because y'all don't want to say anything. Bad things. Bad things. Bad things. Was Gomer a good woman?
No.
Who was Gomer?
Prostitute.
Prostitute. Are there any good prostitutes? Women, y'all talk, it did not be a man in here to say anything about that. How would you know? Prostitution comes with a sale of a product to get money. And you don't care who they get money from. Why in the world would you want to hook up with a prostitute unless you are that kind of man? Samson didn't want a woman like his mom. He didn't want a good woman. You know why? Because his characteristics showed that he was arrogant. And he wanted to live the type of life he wanted to live. He didn't want to go find a nice woman that will cook, clean, have children, raise a family. He wanted to sleep around. And he wanted that kind of woman. He wanted an experienced woman. He wanted to get drunk. He wanted to lay all over the place. And he just wanted any kind of woman that would accept that. And that's why he got in trouble. So when you look at the first 3 verses of chapter 13, that was the kind of guy that had all this kind of strength, and he messed it up. He messed it up. All right, question number 15. How did the Philistines try to trap Samson? How did they try to trap Samson? Verse 5 says what? $16,500.
Oh, they wanted to find a way for strength.
Why was they so concerned with his strength? We're talking military people here. Why were they so concerned with his strength?
Because they knew that he could overtake them. They did not want Samson to overtake him. So they knew if they found out what his strength was, they would be able to confine him.
Okay.
And Samson would not.
All right. I'm going to read you something right now. Let's just look this up. Based on 16.5. Because I wanted to know how much this woman got paid. How much was Delilah paid for betraying Samson? The answer based upon my research and calculation is approximately $89,641. And this is how they broke it down. It's a very interesting question. How much does it pay to sell out God's man? There's no way of knowing. There's no way of knowing exactly what silver was worth in the Old Testament, but we can calculate the price of using some facts to get an idea. The price of silver as of August 31st, 2012 is $31.68 per ounce. The Bible says in Judges 16:5 that each of the lords of the Philistines paid Delilah 1,100 pieces of shekel of silver to betray Samson. The Bible tells us in Judges 3:3 that there were 5 lords of the Philistines. So she received 1,100 shekels times 5. The major weight of metal mentioned in the Bible is the shekel. And as its name, which means simply weight, testifies. A shekel contains 16 grams of silver. So if each of the 5 lords gave Delilah 1,100 shekels of silver, she received a total of 5,500 shekels of silver. I multiplied 5,500 shekels of silver times 16 grams per shekel to determine how many total grams of silver Delilah was paid, which is 88,000 grams. There is no American ounce. There is the avoirdupost ounce, which is 28.35 grams, and the troy ounce, which is 31.10 grams, used for qualifying gold and silver bullions. So I'm using the troy ounce weight value. So I divided 88,000 total grams by 31.10 grams per ounce, which gives us 2,829 ounces of silver. Finally, multiply 2,829 ounces of silver times the present price of 31.68 per ounce of silver, which means in today's price, Delilah was paid approximately $89,641 to portray God's man. Now, in her mind, she thought, you know how many men I got to sleep with to make $81,000? This is gold. This is gold. So for a woman that already lives that kind of lifestyle and a woman that already is into making money and making money as fast as she can with as many men as she can have during the daytime or the nighttime or on weekends, $89,000 to a woman in biblical times, in that time, in that century, made her rich. That was a whole lot of money. So Samson was in trouble. For $89,000 paycheck, he was in trouble. Delilah was determined to find out where his strength came from. And she was determined to the point where she did find out. She harassed him, blew in his ear, woke him up, spilled stuff on him, all kinds of stuff to get him to finally tell her where his strength lied. And because he was disconnected from God, because he was disconnected from his upbringing, because he just decided to live the type of life he wanted to live, he thought it was a joke. Just like the birthright being sold. You were so hungry, being a hunter yourself, you were so hungry that you sold your birthright, thinking that it just meant nothing. You can get it back anytime you wanted to. Samson was the same way. Oh, baby, here. You know, I'm really sick of you, Bob. I made a vow, and my strength lie in my hair. I can never cut my hair. And she said, oh, Samson, are you serious? Yeah. Hey, leave me alone. Back to sleep, got the shears out, gave a nice little haircut. When he woke up, he was weak. He was weak. Just like Adam, when he ate of the fruit by the hands of his wife, who was a woman, the next thing he knew, he was weak. See, when God tells you to do something and he gives you strength and power behind it, and you use some other method to achieve whatever you want to achieve, you lose the power of God, therefore you're weak. And now, it's not going to be funny when they come in and bind you up. Now depression sets in. See, because now they're going to tease you like you tease them. And remember, they're a whole lot madder than you are. But see, that could have been my cousin among that 1,000. There could have been an officer in there who was my uncle in that 1,000. So now you're going to pay. And see, all the blessings that he had, all the greatness that he was, was lost not through humiliation. And that didn't feel good. That didn't feel good. But just like the prodigal son, ding, light comes on when it hurts. When it hurts. Son, daughter, I love you. You embrace him, you put your arms around him, you kiss him, you walk out of that dorm room, you get in your car, you get back on the interstate, you cry all the way back home. You're praying and you're praising, you're praying and you're praising, hoping that what you instilled in them, growing them up, they would at least remember tomorrow when they wake up. Some of it's successful, some of it's not. Some call home and say, Mom, I'm in trouble. Don't tell Dad. Some of them, by the end of the semester, grades are up, everything's doing fine, the only thing they're calling you for is money. Some can't wait to move out so they can get out of these restrictions, so they can go do what they want to do and live the type of life that they want to live. And they'll never ever tell you that things are going bad until you see them or you hear about them. That's just the way life is. Some of us get it, some of us don't. But it's one thing that the world is going to do, y'all. With any individual that goes out into its freedom, it's going to teach us a lesson. Because that's the way the world is. And it's only life. If you think it's something greater than this, I'm sad. It saddens me to tell you that it's only life. So if you don't be strong and walk out of here with your head up and your chest out and determined to make it, life is going to eat you up. It will. Life will beat you up if you're passive. If you're strong and determined to be who you want to be, it's going to take a while. It's going to take many a time of falling down, dusting yourself, getting up, but you're going to make it. Samson made it, but it was a tough road. I mean, he did well for 20 years. The Bible doesn't say anything about it. In verse 20, he judged Israel 20 years in the days of the Philistines. But when he brought bad company into his life, everything went south. And those of us who have been in bad relationships know what I'm talking about. Everything starts good until you start becoming unequally yoked. When you and your husband and wife, or you and your boyfriend and your girlfriend start fighting, you become unequally yoked. You can't get on the same page. And once that occurs in the relationship, LOVE starts going out of the back door. And once LOVE leaves, there's nothing else to glue the relationship together. Because once you stop loving one another, it's over. Because love is the common denominator between two people that keep two people together. And once fighting pushes that out, the relationship is over. You're just there to be there. And some of us don't like to be in places we don't want to be. Some of us don't like to be in places that we're uncomfortable with. Some of us don't like to come home to a bad environment. And then it's divorce, then it's unquitting. Some people don't come home, some people quit you on a text. Don't be there when I get there. I'm going to move my stuff out. Well, however y'all do it today, it happens. You know why? Because we stop loving one another. And once we stop loving one another, the game is over. So be very careful as I close, and we'll start 17 next week. Be very careful with the people that you choose to be in your life. Be very careful. If you have aggravating friends, feed them out of long-handled spoons. Stop spending time with people who aggravate you every single day, because it keeps you frustrated. Say, hey, slow down with this. We gotta regroup. And just tell them, be honest with them. Every time you're around me and in my space, we tend to fuss and fight about things that don't make no sense. I'm trying to love you. I'm trying to be a friend to you. I'm trying to do all I can for you, but you just don't want to receive it. I got to keep it moving. You know why? Because that's just not the atmosphere I'm in. You have to tell people that. You want to be happy every day. Amen? So if somebody is robbing you of your peace and joy, don't you think it does you good to tell them to stop? Yeah. Yeah. Because they're not in their season. You can be in a very good place right now at this particular time in your life. Praise God. You are in a good space. You can have people around you that are not. Remember that sermon I gave you about codependency? Remember, you can't help nobody be better if they don't want to be better. And you can lose all your sensibility if you hang around people that woe is me all the time. And you look around, you're in a very dark room, in a very dark place, where you don't want to be. And now your life is not productive. God only knows what this man could have done for the Israelites and for God if he only would have listened. And the way God give out blessings, I know he wouldn't have died at the end pulling pillars down to kill everybody in the arena. Isn't that sad? That the strength that God gave him, he used at the end for God, but he died in the process. That's horrible. That's horrible. All right? Okay, let us stop here. Thank you for your comments. Let us have a prayer. Father God, we thank you so much for today. We thank you so much for the classroom. We thank you so much that our patriarchs and matriarchs of the Bible are just like us. We thank you that you know that the psalmist is clear that we only from dust. And we thank you, dear God, that we can identify with every man and woman that you have used to shape and write history. We can raise our hand and say we're just like that in some shape, form, or fashion. So we thank you that through grace, it is clear that we have a chance. We thank you that we can pray to you and ask for forgiveness. And when we fall down, we can dust ourselves off and get up, and we can see the same light that you showed us before we left you. Thank you for that. We thank you, dear God, for our transition right now into our worship service. Let it be pleasing in thy sight, and help us, dear God, to give you exactly what you asked for on the first day of the week. And in Jesus' name we pray these things. Amen. All right, thank you, everyone.
What happened? You talked to your professor?
You did?
How are you? I could only win. So if isn't that true? All right, let's go.
I went in on Friday. Just said, a friend of I'm waiting for her.
How are you?
I'm Rustin.
Yes. Thank you. Hey, brother. Somebody asking what the basket. I didn't understand what the basket is.
Oh, the what's called in here for
Okay. So who is collecting? Should know. Movie. He's asking me where's the things. Good morning. You have one. How about you? All right. Good.
I know he was collecting and then putting them on the table every Sunday.
Okay.
And then, storm back. Maybe he
Every year I get it's perfect for small rooms. Yeah. I ordered a rug off the and you know, I'm going to do you know, make it actually nice. You know, yeah, exactly. You're like, that's necessary. I haven't lived my mind. I hope it comes out.